Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's Gaming Friday. I'm Gary.
And I'm full of cold.
And today we are going to take a look at Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
Or I should probably rephrase it, is that I'm going to be having a look at Dishonored 2, whereas Ian has played it to completion and will be giving his full review in this video.
Yeah.
But first, I just want to have a quick look back at Arcane Studios, who had developed this game, and it was of course published by Bethesda.
Yeah.
And this is the sequel to Dishonored, which came out in 2012. So it's been a 4-year gap in development, which is about the right amount of time to really make a polished, finished game. But of course, Arcane Studios has got a bit of a rough history. They started back in 2000. Well, they started back in 1999. I think was when they were founded.
Wow.
The first games that they released was back in 2006, and it was a game that I'd never heard of called Arx Fatalis.
Right. Okay.
And I think the same year was Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, which I did play. And I only actually played it for a couple of hours before I was like, okay, I get it. This could have been so much better, but I'm just not feeling it. But it was an open world game to an extent. And so from there, they moved on to a game called The Crossing, which was then cancelled.
Okay.
Then they sort of got into partnership with Valve. And Arcane Studios were working on Half-Life Episode 4, Return to Ravenholm, which was cancelled. So then they started working with Steven Spielberg on a video game called LMNO.
Okay.
Which was cancelled.
Right.
So then, you're seeing a history here of just all these cancelled games, and you're like, this poor company just can't get... They were working on Half-Life, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And so they ended up just making maps for a Call of Duty game, World at War, which is kind of like, yeah, okay. And then after they sort of shipped out some work to Call of Duty, they were then... hired to help and make BioShock 2, doing some of the animations and some of the graphics, for, some of the texture bits for it.
Yeah.
But then ZeniMax Media in 2010 brought out Arcane Studios, and then 2 years later they released Dishonored.
Nice.
And then, as we know, 4 years later, Dishonored 2. And this just goes on for me to say that Bethesda has really going from strength to strength this year and into the next.
Yes.
With some of their games, obviously with Doom, Fallout 4, Dishonored 2.
Yeah.
And of course, Arcane Studio is working on 2017's Prey. It's Prey 2 to most of us, but it's just being called Prey. So Arcane Studios is it's got a bad history, but I think it's all paying off right now.
Yes.
Because Dishonored, as much as in the Let's Play that we did for it, I aired my grievances about the game and said that it is a wonderfully beautiful game. It's just not for me. I'm not a big thief game type player.
Yeah.
As much as I can appreciate it, it's a game I like to backseat game. It's not a game I really want to play.
Yeah.
But absolutely critically acclaimed, and I think Dishonored 2, as much as I've seen, the people that have played it have thoroughly enjoyed it. So, Ian, was this game worth the wait?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I played the first one to death, got all the magical powers, found out where all the secrets were, upgraded it, just absolutely loved the way the first one surprised me. It really surprised me about how a game could be not advertised so much and then all of a sudden come out and just be breathtaking. Then when I hear about Dishonored 2, I'm just like, I know what I'm getting, I know what I'm expecting, and I'm looking forward to it. And the fact they've kind of taken, it's everything of the first game, but cranked up to 11.
Right.
Starting with the simplicity of, okay, so at the moment I'm Emily. I'm playing the girl that was rescued in the first one. Her mother was obviously the Empress and was killed. Corvo, who's talking now, he's talking. In the first game, he didn't have a voice, but in this one, they've got a really competent voice actor to get in.
We'll get into the voice actors in a little bit.
Yeah. As you see now, we've got these soldiers, these clockwork soldiers.
They look pretty cool, actually. I really like the designs for them.
They, obviously, with the steampunk universe that Dishonored is set in.
It reminds me of Devil May Cry-ish, sort of the puppet monsters.
Yeah. These things actually have cameras to the front and back.
Oh, God.
The guy in the
Well, that
white...
makes sense. You update your security.
Yeah, the guy in the white talking now, I believe, is the Duke of Serconis, who's voiced by Vincent D'Onofrio, Goma
right.
Pyle from
From-
Full Metal Jacket.
Yep.
And he's just introduced us to Delilah. Now, Delilah is the half-sister of the original Empress.
Right.
And so is the rightful heir to the throne.
Well, just looking at her, I mean, come on.
Yeah, she just looks evil.
That's villain right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I gotta say, I do like her outfit.
And this is obviously all a surprise to Emily and Corvo, who for the last, I believe, 4 or 5 years have been running Dunwall. You know, since the last Empress was killed,
Yeah.
Emily's taken over, and so Corvo, as her father and royal protector, has been looking after her.
Okay, yeah.
And all the while, Delilah has been building this great plan to take back the throne. And you learn all this in the game.
Okay.
The history is in the game for you to find.
So all the connections between the characters and how... So you're trying to figure out who was corrupted, who's working against you? And...
Yeah, so now everybody's just going to turn on me, and they believe also there's a person going around called the Crown Killer, and the Crown Killer has been killing all the political figures around.
Right.
They believe it's Corvo after all of his actions in the first game.
Right.
Delilah's just pulled a sword out from her gut, so she's immortal,
Right.
and stolen Corvo's powers.
So that's the weird thing, is that there's only very, very few characters in this Dishonored world with alien, superhuman, mutant powers.
Yeah, with magical powers given them from
And
the outside.
I remember in the first playthrough, it was unanswered, really, but there was a guy who just kept appearing and going, hey,
Yeah,
go
the
have these
outsider.
powers, the outsider. So here's an interesting twist, is you have 2 characters,
Yes.
players in this game.
I've already, as we said, I've already done my playthrough as Corvo. I started as Corvo, went all the way through. I did it non-lethally, and
Successfully?
I was spotted a lot.
Okay.
And a couple of people may have accidentally died while I was doing stuff. But I took out all the main targets
Yeah.
non-lethally, so I got the good ending. So I'm gonna choose Emily instead and see if there's any difference, because I know how the game starts. But
Yeah.
I believe that's what I thought. When you're Corvo, it's Emily who does that.
Right, and is frozen like
And
that?
it's frozen like that. So
Yeah.
as when you choose Emily, if I'm right, I don't know, but I believe the story is pretty much the same,
Yeah.
except a few talking bits.
I heard in myself that the ending of the game is the same no matter which character you play as.
Yeah.
But it's, as I say with every great story, even when it's for when you rewatch your favorite stories, you already know how it ends.
Yeah.
And it always ends the same. But it's the journey through the story. And with a good video game, if that story can be changed and manipulated in interesting ways,
Yeah.
which makes you think twice about characters, the game's doing a great job with its script and its writing. And brought to life by a fantastic, very talented voice actors,
Yes.
which a lot of them are movie or TV actors as well. So you already mentioned Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
I always have trouble reading his name.
Yeah, Goma
saying
Pyle.
his name.
Goma Pyle.
But of course, he's fantastic in Daredevil as the Kingpin. But it's my boy Sam Rockwell,
Yeah.
who's playing Mortimer Ramsey. And I can't help but see Ramsey as a villainous character name. Thanks
Yeah,
to Game of
he's
Thrones.
he's the head of the City Watch. He's just stolen the signet ring. He wants to break into our safe and steal all our gold.
So being
He's in it for the money.
okay, so being it Sam Rockwell, being a celebrity Hollywood voice actor, how much in the game is the character?
He's not in it for long. He is pretty much this level's kind of target.
Okay.
And so I've, after everything in the throne room, I'm now in the actual game. I'm unarmed. I have no special powers, and I'm locked in. So I've got to try and get to my father, or at least try and get out of the city.
Yeah.
But there's obviously guards everywhere. So now the game really drops you in. There is a tutorial at the start
Okay.
to get you fresh back into it. But now you're just like, right, okay. I can look around and kind of inspect stuff. We've got the food there that I can eat to bring my health back up.
It's a very Bioshocky.
Yeah, they've got these weird
Again.
typewriters that I think it's just like somebody animated that to go all the way across.
Is that where you save game?
No, they're
Do you need
just
an
dotted
ink
around. So obviously you've got all your lore that's just lying around, all the notes. And so you're just like, right, okay, we've got to get out and head back into Dunwall.
Yeah. Okay, so there's some other fantastic voice actors. There's the lovely Rosaria Dawson, who plays Captain Megan Foster.
Yes, she's the captain of the Dreadful Whale. That's actually the Dreadful Whale down there.
Right.
That's the ship I've got to get to. So, like I said, they've just boosted everything up to 11. I've got to get through this building and down into those streets and along that dock to get to that ship.
Nice.
You know, so the levels are...
Well, I have to say, first and foremost, looking at this game, it is doubly... they've doubled down on the graphics for this game. It looks spectacular. It still has that almost cel-shaded...
Yeah.
You know, it's not gone for the uncanny valley look to characters and facial animations.
Yeah, it's gone for it. This is a game.
Yes.
You know, we'll extortionate their hands a little bit, and the guys will be a lot more bulkier. The funny thing is, as brand new as this game is, I've already come across a few little glitches in my own playthrough.
Okay.
It really surprised me that nowadays every game has an issue.
Oh yeah,
you know,
and that is a common thread. That there's every game that comes out has a day one patch and future patches down the line.
See, this wasn't that bad, but there were just a few instances where I remember I got spotted at one point and I had to kill like 3 guys because I got myself into a situation, and I jumped and hid off using my blink. One of the guards I could see was walking around, but he was walking straight into a wall and looking right at me as well, so I couldn't actually get to him without him spotting me again.
Well, I mean, you can't... how often do Bethesda release a game that doesn't have bugs in it?
yeah.
And that just sounds like a Fallout 4 kind of Fallout 3 AI behavior where characters just walk and do nothing.
Just walk and do nothing.
But, you know, I think at least Doom, as far as I'm aware, Doom released without that many bugs.
Yeah,
well, actually, no. I take it back. I had some horrible nightmarish bugs in Doom where I fell through the ground. You just fall through the ground and die. And when you're playing it on the mode where if you die, it's game over and you're back to the very beginning of the first level again, is a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So,
but back into Dishonored. So now, obviously, I've gone into sneak mode. I took out that guy quite quietly. Gary, I'm going to let you judge. Do I let this guy live or die?
I'm not playing, so I'm going to say murder.
Okay.
Oh, I like it. Almost Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I always like this game more than I like the Assassin's Creed.
Well, I enjoyed
games.
the original Assassin's Creed games and really switched off out of them.
I always had a problem in the first game with doing drop assassinations.
Yeah.
I always missed my timing, so I had to get close to the target.
Yeah.
In this one, they've made it a lot more fluid.
Nice.
You know, like with that, I just had to get over him, and within a distance, I just had to hit the button.
attack.
If you hit right bumper, you'll just knock them out.
Yeah.
These are cool. You get to set these little alarm clocks now.
Okay.
And
so it can be timed distractions?
Yeah, it'll be timed distraction, so the guys will end up going up towards it. Right. So there he is. There's Sam Rockwell, Mortimer Ramsey. He's got 2 guards in here. My father is...
So there are actually... I just want to go into it, but it's Erica Luttrell, who voices Emily in this game.
Yeah.
She's more known, I think, for television, but she did do a voice in Diablo 3, and I've been playing XCOM 2 a lot, and I couldn't necessarily pick her voice out, but she is one of the voices for one of the female US soldiers in XCOM 2. And she's replaced Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah.
From who played Emily in the original game.
Yeah, well, the Emily in the first one was quite younger. The one you're playing now, she's got to be at least in her 20s.
Yeah, well, it kind of makes sense to get an older actress to do the voice now.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think the game's biggest star is Stephen Russell, who is playing Corvo in this game. And as you said, in the previous game, he was a mute.
Yeah.
But now giving him a personality. But they've actually, by bringing in Stephen Russell, they're absolutely paying respects to fans of the Thief genre. And especially the Thief games. Because he was the voice actor for Thief and Thief 2. So it just seems absolutely appropriate that he would voice Corvo in this game.
Yeah.
But he also did voices in Skyrim. He did voices back at System Shock 2. In Fallout 4, he voiced my favourite character in the game, Nick Valentine.
Nice.
In Fallout 3, he voiced Andy. And I have to ask Ian if he was a relation to you, because in Fallout 3, he played Mr. Buckingham.
Nice.
So, rounding that out, there are some other great voice talent in the game, but the ones we've mentioned, I think are going to bring any game's characters to life.
Yeah, and that's what I always loved about these games is you wouldn't expect big name celebrities like that to just step up.
Well, it happens more and more, but it's just great to have a good selection of credible voice actors. Obviously, you can get to the stage where obviously voice actors went on strike this year.
Yeah.
Because they felt they weren't being paid enough, and then you get celebrity voice actors, and then you get instances like what happened with Metal Gear Solid 5, where they ended up bringing in, I've forgotten his name. Kiefer Sutherland. They brought in Kiefer Sutherland to replace David Hayter.
Yes.
As Snake, and so you get that problem as well. So, but all in all, I think voice acting in games is on the up anyway, for the amount of talent that they're putting in, and just bringing those characters to life. And I think this game, from my
it's a
experience
great
with the
selling
first
point
Dishonored,
for this game. Yeah,
it's going to do it well.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, as you can see, I'm now in the stealth element of the, of this first level, and I don't have to come in here. That's how open this game is. You do want to search everything.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you don't have to if you don't want to put yourself at risk.
So how's the gameplay in this one different to the first, or is it exactly the same but it's refined?
Yeah, it's exactly the same but refined. Like that guy there, I managed to block his first attack and then caught him with a backhand.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't kill them that quickly.
Because combat sort of seemed a little bit clunky in Dishonored 1 when you were overwhelmed with enemies and you're trying to block, parry, and stab.
Yeah, it is always clunky when there's multiple enemies. You never want to get yourself into a situation where there's more than, say, 3 or 4 guards. Yeah. Getting into a situation where there's like 5 or 6 coming at you, you cannot switch your powers quick enough and get the right weapons out without just going into a mad explosive killing spree, and you're not built for that. Yeah, it's like in Metal Gear Solid games, you can get all the rocket launchers out that you want, but you're still going to damage yourself more than the enemy who are coming in heavy armor. The game develops later on so that they start wearing helmets and face masks and things like that. So your typical sleep dart to the head has to be changed to something else now. Like those robots as well, those giant robots. One level you go into, there's just robots everywhere, and if you stealth, you can avoid them.
Okay.
But while they're walking around, they've got cameras facing one way and behind them.
You've got to go on their sides.
You've got to get above them, or a little trick I found was just to shoot the cameras. So left them without heads.
Right.
The only issue then is if an unsuspecting guard just happens to walk past, the robot
hear the shot or see the damage to the robot.
You see the damage to the robot and comes along like, what's going on? I'll help, and the robot doesn't realize this because he can't see and just stabs the guy.
Right.
And you're just like, I didn't want him dead because I was trying not to
kill anybody,
but now he's dead. So this is cool. Now I've got. In Corvo's playthrough, he comes across his metal mask and so retrieves his mask from the first game. In this one, Emily just wears a rag over her face.
Okay.
And she's got a little spyglass instead.
Right.
So those are little nifty changes.
So what's the music like in the game? And the sound effects?
Very atmospheric.
Yeah.
When you're all quiet, the music's quite quiet. You're just listening to the streets, the talking of people going around. You're listening to the guards. waiting to see if they've got any extra information about extra things that you might be able to pick up. Once it kicks off, the action music starts kicking off, and you kind of get drawn into it because you want to get away. And once you do, everything will settle back down again. But you're all of a sudden the music starts kicking off. You're lobbing grenades and shooting your gun, and
So, does the game have difficulty options?
Yes,
it does.
It was something new that they brought out. They brought out DLC with the New Game Plus, and it gives you easy, medium, hard, and super hard, I suppose.
Right. And how much impact has that had on the game?
Well, I only played it through on medium, and you have to be careful because I mean I'm in stealth mode now, but I can still, my feet will still make noise if I'm going too fast, so the enemy will hear me. Upgrades later on will give me extra sneaking, so I can move just as fast but without making half as much noise. And so you when you're in the stealth mode, the enemy will pick up on that. They'll turn and they'll look, and the little it's like a lightning bolt above their head that will start to fill up. If it gets to red, they've spotted you and they're in attack mode. It's kind of like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
So you want to jump back and drop that white symbol down, but
just to stay hidden.
While it drops down, they're still inquisitive, so they'll walk towards that area.
Yeah.
On harder settings, I suppose they'll spot you quicker. They'll be a lot more aggressive. There'll be a lot more of them. Because they'll always call in reinforcements. Reinforcements are a bit of a bastard.
Is that an endless amount of reinforcements if you don't
to
stop the alarm? Or?
If you got to stop the alarm and get away from that situation. Ooh.
So with the New Game Plus, how does that affect the gameplay? Does that enable you to jump up the difficulty levels with New Game Plus abilities?
Yeah, if you want to, because you collect all your runes and bone charms throughout the game and all your upgrades, and then it allows you to, once you get past this first tutorial bit, I've got to escape Dunwall to get to the ship, to get access to all my abilities. You'll have like, I started my New Game Plus with 40 plus runes.
Right.
So then I just added them quickly to all the stuff I really wanted. And then extra runes that I'll pick up in my second playthrough I can add to stuff I haven't done.
Okay, so one of the criticisms I have heard about the game, and this was kind of... It was a feature in the first game, is that you eventually could activate an item which would reveal to you all of the runes and items on the map, sort of glowing at a distance to where you can go and pick them up.
Yes.
And there's points at this game where you'll activate the said device and there are items everywhere.
Yes.
And it's a bit overwhelming because you're just like, well, that one's over there, that one's over there. Which way do I go? Is it important?
Well,
and so what is that like when you're playing, and what is the upgrade system actually like in this one in comparison to the original?
Depending on how open you want the game to be, as soon as you get your heart, there's a guy down there, there's two guys down there, there's a guy over there, and there's two guys at the bottom of the street, so I'm still in kind of stealth mode. I don't want to fight them all. Once you get your heart, it will reveal the locations of all the bone charms and the runes to you. I always go for the closest, so a rune that's 30 meters to me is a lot more easier to get than one that's 120 meters away.
Yeah.
As you're making your way to this rune, it may take you to another point of the story or additional information in the level. So it might be in a safe that you need to get the code from, but you can't get the code for the safe unless you rob this other guy, and this other guy's being held in somebody else's location. So collecting all the stuff in the levels actually opens up all the levels for you to see and do everything, collect all the money. In the levels that I've played, I've gone after runes before going for the story, gone to the black market shop, and there's black market shops dotted all around the game in different levels. I'll go for this guy now. And you then, you buy all the stuff on the black market shop, and then you find the key for the black market shop, so you can then go back and rob the shop.
Okay.
Go back, rob the shop, get all your money back, and then steal the rest of the stuff that he's got. So then you can use the rest of that stuff to then go and collect the other runes and bone charms.
Yeah.
The upgrade systems are really good because there's a guy right there. There's a guy right there as well. Combat. No, he's kicked me. Oh, I chopped his leg off. And cut his head off.
Lovely.
Nice. Come on.
You know, I think it's interesting that the melee and first person view mode in combat games is always a finicky type thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about it the other day when we were talking about Condemned, or talking about those old sort of more story driven first person games. And there was a couple back on like the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Was it like Breakdown?
Yes.
Where you drunk beverages and fought with your fists.
Yeah.
And how this company with, I believe, Arx Fatalis was a first person game. Dark Messiah, Might and Magic was the first person sort of game. So was Bioshock, so was Crossing, Half-Life.
Yes.
And it just seems like their entire history is of first person shooter games that have the melee interaction as well. And I think this game, from just looking at those combat sequences, it looked like it works.
Yeah, it does work. I mean, I thought I missed it at first when that guy kicked me, but then I realised that I'd grabbed his leg, chopped off his leg, and then cut his head.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I mean, I could, if I wanted to, go back and... Right, where is it? That's your helmet. Well, I could, if I could find his head, I could pick up his head and and carry his head around with me. And throw it into the enemy if I wanted to. So there's a lot of interaction in this game.
Right.
Getting back to the upgrading systems.
Yeah.
You can upgrade yourself with bone charms that you pick up during the game, which gives you upgrades to your health, your mana, how much health you might get back from eating food and things like that. It affects the enemies as well. Enemies' range weapons might malfunction, or their witches aren't able to do their spells. You could break down the bone charms now and create your own. Take the trait from the bone charm, add it to a new bone charm, and then add another trait to it. And you can make traits with up to 3 or 4 bone charms with up to 3 or 4 extra traits on them.
Right.
To give you that. You can also then upgrade using the runes to break down bone charms and create your own runes, so you can level up your special powers even quicker.
Nice. So that's a good system.
Yeah, so there's so much extra to do.
Well, my next question was about the replayability of the game. And I think we've already covered that with the fact that they've added a new game plus. There is the 2 different perspectives of playing the game.
Yeah.
So how about the levels? If, they've added new game plus and they've added the 2 characters, how are the levels? The level design?
The levels, you definitely, just like in the first game, you definitely need to play through a lot of times. I played through this first level. I played through this first level quite a lot because you come down there and there's like 3 guards behind this wall. There's like another 2 or 3 down there, and then there's like 3 more on the dock.
Yeah.
So that's like 9 guys between me and my ending, with no powers and this gun. So I'm trying to stealth it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get spotted. And so you can quick save now, which is a cool feature.
Okay.
So if you die, it will immediately just
go back to the last quick save.
Yeah, so that will
good.
help you go for that no spotted achievement and no deaths. But you have to play through the levels multiple times to know where all the doors are, to know where all the balconies are. The guards sequences, they will change a little bit here and there, but not enough that you might have to look for a guard somewhere else.
Right.
They're usually all still in the same positions as they always are. They might just walk a bit slower or start talking to somebody randomly. So like that sequence, I just remembered there's an alleyway here, so I'm going to take the back entrance instead. And I remember rightly, there's a guard around.
And as you said, it's always worth exploring because as you can find items for health and more lore. Just finding the letters that are scattered around, more information that you can find about the characters.
Yeah.
Just to enhance the experience.
Oh crap! Is that...
So Ian, how fun is the game? Do you recommend it?
Totally. Then again, I recommend it mainly to people who played the first one.
Okay.
And were reluctant maybe about getting into it again. Get into it again. The story expands. It's so much deeper. There's so much more lore, so much more detail in the character development. If you haven't played the first one, You may have an issue getting into the second one purely because you're dropping into the middle of a story now.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, well, who do I start with? Go with Corvo, hear why he's there, then go back and play as Emily. If you're an achievement whore, go back and try and get all the achievements. I'm going to kill this guy.
I guess, yeah, if you enjoy the game that much, then the challenges are there for the no power run,
Yes,
the no killing anyone run,
that's
the stealth run,
yeah,
kill everyone run.
That's one of the ways I'm going to go through in the game is no powers and complete stealth.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways that I do want to get through the game. It's going to be very difficult.
One thing I want to know, Ian, did they sort out the plague of rats that was killing everyone in the last time?
They did, but they brought in blood flies.
Oh my god.
So now you have... Why did you bring that up while I'm in the middle of a combat sequence?
I don't know.
Now you have the blood flies that will affect corpses.
Right.
And so you can, if you want to... got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to, use the corpses to bring up more blood flies, and then use the blood flies if you upgrade your possession ability.
Ooh.
Through the mouth. Yeah, if you upgrade your possession, you can take control of the blood fly and then use that to maybe sneak through. I'm gonna steal your... Give me your gold.
Oh.
I did not mean to do that. You can then, upgrade your possession to take possession of the flies to get to different areas.
Yeah.
And see more of the game.
Okay. Well, that's going to be... I don't think I can give a recommendation. Obviously, I've not played the game. This is the most I've seen of the game. And it's visually a lot more appealing than the original game. Most definitely. I think the refined combat and your playthrough of this so far, it has piqued my interest a little bit more, but I also know that it's not a game for me. You've said it to me before, and you're mostly right. I am a very patient person, but in video games sometimes not so much, and I'm just not a big fan of the thief games.
Yeah.
Or or stealth mechanics in games. I don't mind if it's a stealth level in a game, but I don't like playing stealth games as a whole. And so it's a game that I'd rather backseat and watch and just watch the story played out.
Yeah.
So, that's my perspective on the reasons why I would not play Dishonored 2, but I most certainly will be playing Prey when it comes out next year. And I think that Arcane Studios, with its troubled history, is really... It's on form. I can't wait to see Prey. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to be it from us here on Off the Shelf Reviews. This Gaming Friday. We'll be back next Friday with another video game. Of course, film reviews on Thursdays. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.
Get out of the water. There we go. I got the end.